welcome back to the Freelancer Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you're me. But my name's Emma Cossey. I am a coach and mentor for freelancers. And I recently had a question: who should pay for a software subscription? Or it's essentially who should pay for a software subscription, but it could also be anything you're supposed to invest in your business thanks to a client. So this is basically a really interesting one because there's no hard and fast rule, but it very much depends on who's asking for you to use the software. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. You might have a VA who has started working with a client, and the client wants the VA to start using a very particular type of software. And it's a type of software that they would have to pay for, or it would have to be paid for subscription or otherwise. It's unlikely to be a piece of software or a tool that they would use with their other clients, and there aren't any alternatives. Personally, I think then in that case, it should be the client that pays for that, especially if they're unlikely to be able to use it with other things, and if there's no other alternatives. If they're happy for you to use an alternative, great. But if they're not, then I feel that should be the client paying for that because that's something very specific that they're asking you to do. So, for example, a VA might be asked to sign up to a project management software. In that situation, if they're not likely to use it with other clients, hopefully then the client will be able to add them to their own subscription, because I would assume that they are already using that and they might have a team that they can add them to. But if it's something that you are likely to carry on using with all your other clients, it might be worth investing for yourself. I mean, it's a couple of examples here. If you're a VA and you find that you're creating a lot of content for people, then it would make sense for you to have a Canva subscription. If you're a photographer and somebody requests some kind of pop-up booth, and you think that that's something you could actually use with a lot of other client work as well, and maybe an extra sideline of income, then it might be worth you investing in that and carrying on using it. Because if the client does it, the client would get it back at the end of it. So that's another consideration as well. The bit trickier with software subscriptions because they're not necessarily going to get it back, but it is worth thinking about that. The other thing to just consider is if the client is going to be paying for it, you need to be very clear with each other on who has the rights to whatever content is in there. So, for example, in case a client is paying for Canva instead of you, would they have the permission to reuse all that Canva content after you finish working together? So you'd have to be quite clear on the rights for any of that kind of content that you created. But I would personally say if the client is asking you to sign up for a piece of software that you will only likely to use with them, then they should be paying for it. If it's something that you think will be a good investment and that you can use with other clients, it might be worth you doing it. But it's one of those things where there's not necessarily an obvious black and white answer, and it's probably something that you need to have a great discussion with them as well. So I hope that was useful. It's a bit of a niche one, but if you have any questions about freelancing, please do let me know. You can come over onto Instagram. I'm Emma Cossey over there. I've got the Facebook and the Discord freelance lifestyle groups that you're welcome to come join, or just drop me an email, hello@emmacossey.com. You'll find all of that in the show notes, and I'm always willing to answer any questions. I hope you have a lovely freelance week.